in this session we shall learn how to consume a SOAP service. So I'll show you how to create a SOAP service in later point of time, but in this video I am going to show you how to consume a SOAP service and what are the configurations required. Again, most of you, when we ask do you have experience in consuming a SOAP service, most of them has this answer that we never encountered because we didn't come across in our projects. But that should not stop learning, okay, because we have like many open SOAP services available on internet. Just for example, you can say sample SOAP services, okay, you can find many, okay. So SOAP services, again, it is one of the type of web services. Just like how we have raml for RESTful services, we have something like I can say like a web service description language which is called WSDL file. WSDL is something which called web service description language, that is kind of specification for SOAP services. So it looks something like this. Again, in case of web services, when we are discussing about web services, it is quite common that everything has a request and a response. So you have to know what is the type of request that particular web service is accepting and what is the type of response that is returning. You all know that SOAP services are built on XML, like it will accept XML as the request and it will give output response as in XML. Unlike in REST, it will accept any kind of data and return any kind of data type. So again, when it comes to SOAP services, as I said, XML is the request and XML is the response. Now for example, I am going to take one small example here. Okay, I found on the internet that you can always see like the SOAP services are always followed by question mark and WSDL. That's how it looks. Okay, either you can, what you can do is you can copy the whole content here. Okay, you can copy the whole content and save it. You can save it in a notepad and save the file as you can say, for example, example.WSDL. so the extension should be of WSDL file. All right, so you can do in this way. You can see how it is transformed into WSDL file, or you can directly use this URL when you are consuming the SOAP service. But I always suggest you to copy paste into a local file and use it. The reason why is sometimes this web service, this is hosted on some server, isn't it? What if this is going down, right? What if it is not available? Then it would be a problem. But again, I will show you both cases how to use like using the URL or the location file. Now I am opening my Anypoint Studio. I have created a sample project here. Again, by default you won't be finding a connector to consume SOAP service. You have to click on add modules. To consume SOAP service, there is a connector called Webservice Consumer. All right, just drag and drop here to the palette. This is the module. You can see we have an option called, we have only one operation, which is consume. Now first let me drag and drop the listener. Okay, create a configuration. I'll just give SOAP as my path. Then the very next step, this is what many of them do. You will try to drag and drop a transform message, okay, and create a request that is accepted by SOAP. But this is not the best way to do. What I'll do first is, first drag and drop the web service consumers consume operation connector, drag and drop here. Now what I would do is click on plus symbol, and here you can see it is asking for WSDL location. So what I can do is, either I can go to this location and find my path, or give me a moment, I can just go to downloads. So I can copy my WSDL file into my source main resources. I'll just copy it here. You can see it is under my source main resources example.WSDL. Now I can click on plus symbol. Either you can directly give the URL. So what I'll do is, I'll go ahead first with the URL by providing the URL directly and paste it here. Now automatically it will try to connect with this your endpoint, the WSDL location, and now you can see the service port and address are automatically loaded. So hello endpoint service. So if I just copy this and search for this particular endpoint, you can see here the service name is hello endpoint, and the binding is port is hello endpoint. Again the binding, it is giving the address as hello, this endpoint, the location. So it will automatically pick it up. So these are like so whenever someone asks you what are the things required to connect to consume a soap services, you have to have a valid WSDL location, and it should always be end with WSDL. Okay, and then automatically you can have an option to select your service. Here I have only one service. If you have more than one service, it will show you in the drop down list. Same way you can have different ports and different address as well, but as of now in this sample WSDL I have only one service, one port and one address. Upon clicking OK, you will need to check another option, operation. So here you can see even these operations are automatically loaded from the WSDL. If I drop down, I have only one operation here, say hello. So basically in real time projects and all, you might have more than one operation. So what I will do is I'll just save this. So what I have done, I have just copied the URL and everything was automatic. Okay, now go back to message flow. Now you have to send a request to your soap web service consumer. The next step I will do is I'll drag and drop this transform message just before this web service consumer. Why we are doing this is we might require to see what kind of request it is accepting, right? So in this case I believe this is not accepting any of the inputs here. So what I can do is I can just, I think it is kind of get method. So I will try to remove this and see if I am able to receive any response from this web service consumer. I'll just run the project. While this application is getting deployed, I'll try to find some other WSDLs which will help to show you how to send the request. Okay, so I'm waiting for my application to be deployed. And let me create a new localhost 8081 and my endpoint is soap. I'll wait for my application to be deployed. Yes, it is deployed, and it said I'll send the request. It is saying cannot build the default body request for operation say hello, it requires empty parameters. So now what I'll do is I'll try to drag and drop the transform message. So here you can see when you are clicking on this, previously I was in an assumption that this particular web service does not require any input, but based upon the error, this is how you have to resolve your errors. It is saying that cannot build default body request for the operation say hello, it requires input parameters. So then when I click this mapping icon here, I can see that you can see automatically what kind of request that this particular web service consumer is. Here you can see expecting, that is name, it is expecting a name. So what you can do is you can add you can define some metadata, click on add, say some string, because I have only one parameter, it's called string, which is a name. So I'll just simply use this one. So now what I'll do is I'll drag and drop here. So now you can see how my request is created. So this is the best way. Don't ever try to create on your own. Try to use this mapping so that you will have a better this thing. So here you can see this is still wrong because I have mapped my input string to hello request, which is totally wrong. So I'll remove this field assignment and I have to map this to name. Now you can see how this request is been created. So if I give a sample payload here, like for example if I say Shravan, so if I preview the request, so this is how you have to send the soap request. Okay, this is your input request which is in XML. So this is how you need to create a input request when you are calling a soap API. All right, so now I'll just save it and it gets deployed. So here you can see it's web service consumer bad request, but again for all web services it does, sometimes most of the web service does not give proper status codes, so it's always 500. It is better for you to handle the errors based upon your error handling, like whenever you drag and drop on error continue or on error propagate into your error handling, try to use this error type. You can see my application is redeployed. Now I will send the request. It will give empty response. It is, you can see here the response of this soap is in JSON format. It's kind of object where it has a body, headers and attachment, and you can see my response is there within the body, which is an XML. Okay, as I haven't sent any body here, what I can do is I can send a raw body Sravan Lingam. There is no need for me to send this double quotes here. Now if I send the request, here you can see I got this response, hello Sravan Lingam here. So this is what we have received from soap service. What you can probably do is you can add one more transform message over here. Okay, and if you want your output in JSON or anything, you can just type payload dot body. Okay, and just save it. It will redeploy the application. It is started. Now I will send the request. So here you can say you have the JSON response, hello Sravan Lingam. Now I'll change hello Mules. I'll send MuleSoft. It will say hello MuleSoft. So this is how you can consume a web service. So first step is, before dragging and dropping this transform message, please try to add your consumer and do it. Now what I'll do is I will delete this entire thing again. Okay, now so let's take another example. Okay, this is an open source calculator soap API which gives all kind of mathematical operations. So what I'll do is I'll go to web service consumer, delete the existing one. Okay, and delete the transform message and go to web service consumer, click on add operation just like we did earlier. Just paste the path of this and see the services. You have calculator services, calculator port. Okay, and just click on OK. Just refresh this if you are not using before one. So in drop down you can see only one operation, which is add operation. So what I'll do is I'll select this add operation. Now as I said, the next step is to drag and drop this transform message, place it over here. Now I don't know what kind of input this soap services is accepting, because I am not good at WSDL. So what I can do is I can just click on this mapping view. Here you can see it is accepting two input require two parameters, which is int a and int b. So I'll define some metadata. I can click on this. I have used type as number. Even if you are clicking string, what you can do is, if you are selecting string, if you drag and drop this to number 1 and number 2, it will convert automatically to as number. So next thing what I have to do is, as it is payload, right, what I'll pass these two numbers num1 and num2 to this particular request. So what I can do is I can just say payload dot num1 and the other one as payload dot num2. Okay, I'll save this request, save this project and let it get redeployed. The application is started, so let me send the request. You can see I got the output, which is like 15. Again, to get the exact output from the body, it's always better to drag and drop. So always I always suggest you try to observe what it is giving. Okay, so now I'll go to this project, add a transform message. I know it is within body, so it's like payload dot, automatically body is coming dot, again add response dot value. I just need value and I'll say like total. Okay, in this way I'll get a proper output. Let me start the application. It is redeployed. Now if I send the request, you can see my total is 15. Again you can change the numbers, so you can see total is 22. So in this way you can consume a soap service. So it's pretty easy, and just you have to concentrate that your WSDL is properly loaded. Again you can always use example file over here. So instead of using this endpoint, what you can do is edit it. Instead of having this location as a direct URL, you can go here and you can automatically find your WSDL file here, example.WSDL, which is hello world example, which I have set, and you can see automatically these endpoints are loaded. So in these two ways we can import our WSDLs and make use of it. So hope you like this session. We will be seeing how to create a soap request. Now we have consumed a soap service, but we can also show how MuleSoft can create a soap service, and probably in our next videos I'll be showing it. Thank you for your time. Hope you liked it.